So I had a plan rewriting the first chapters, and today is only April 1st. Cool. Cool. Great. Hey, what's up you guys? I'm Sarah Labrat. Camp NaNoWriMo's here, and we need to get started on some stuff. This is a writing vlog where I basically realize I need to rewrite the beginning of the book. Wow, so I just got back from a 4.5 mile walk and it took us an hour and a half. Oh, good. She's slowly feeding my obsession for everything dragons. It's like a pencil holder. That's really cute. So I had a plan, and today is March 30th, and that plan has already sort of gone out the window. By out the window, I mean it hasn't gone completely out the window, but it has certainly changed. So I started working on the big picture edits for my Project DE about 2 weeks ago on March 14th. Today is March 30th, and how I started was by big picture editing the smallest of the 3 perspectives in the book, and then I was going to go to the medium length perspective and do that one next, and then go for the longest perspective, which I thought originally needed the most work, but as I was looking at it tonight, I got really scared by that, by like the middle length one, because I actually think that that's the one that needs the most help. It just needs a lot to be added, and so I ended up ditching that plan. Not ditching it, that's extreme. I switched it. I ended up switching that plan to work on the longest perspective next, which is starting at 4,568 words, about 102 pages. And for some reason, that seems more doable than the middle length one. I don't think I'm going to continue feeling that way, but also on my notes, the first like 20 or so pages are pretty solid. It's mostly smaller changes. And so what I was working on tonight was just like rewriting about a page worth and just making a couple like smaller adjustments in the beginning. This will be interesting to see how I continue to do during this one. I think it was the right move, but of course hindsight's 20/20, so I hope this was the right decision to make. Tonight I edited for about 35 minutes and only added a net of 20 words, but like I said, it was the net, and so I was deleting a lot of words, I was adding a lot of words, but the part that is important is the progress. Okay, just worked really quickly for like 25 minutes tonight. Did 165 net added words. I'm tired, I'm gonna go to bed. The parts that I highlight green are portions that need to be rewritten, and so I highlight them green and then go through sentence by sentence and change them, slowly unhighlighting them until I have a new scene. So originally for this perspective, I thought the first like 20-ish pages were pretty good, but I had a note to fix something on page 3 and 4, which is now going to affect the next like 20 pages, which means that those next 20 pages need to be rewritten. Not really looking forward to that. One of my notes in the notebook of notes that I made when I was rereading this rough draft was that the first 6 pages of this character's perspective feel kind of rushed because I introduce a city, a job, and like a group of people, and then she like leaves on page 6 after like getting introduced to all those people and only leaves with one of those other characters, and so I need to figure that one out too. I just stepped outside to do a few more minutes of editing. It's just really nice out. I mean, it's like 53 degrees and sunny in Minnesota, but that's nice. So I'm just gonna sit here and work on this for a few more minutes. I put on makeup and then spent way too long making TikToks, and so now I need to go do actual things. I think I'm gonna go for a walk.
Your track coach.
So even though this is the second perspective that I'm editing, and I already edited the like shortest perspective, I think when I choose to reorder the chapters so that it's actually like in a readable form instead of just going through by each of the 3 characters, I think that this is the perspective that I'm going to start with. And so what I was working on today essentially was rewriting the first chapters and like the opening portions and I'm like looking at my notes right now, but I pretty much just had like general questions listed on here. Between pages like 4 and 20, I had a couple things that I wanted to change on like the first 4 pages, but then between pages 4 and 20, I just kind of had like a general, just like figure this out. It's like this portion on page 6 is a little bit rushed. You introduce people too quickly. In chapter 3, I literally wrote something needs to happen, needs to be changed because nothing happens. Like I need to make this part more interesting. I have a concept of what's going to happen in this now. I just didn't when I started it. And then so when I was rereading and making these notes, I wrote that down. And then basically because this opening scene was one of the first I wrote. It wasn't the first, but I wrote this a long time ago, and so a lot has changed with the plot and where characters need to be. And so I'm gonna have to end up rewriting a lot of the first couple chapters just to accommodate for where characters are now in like me editing and revising this. The way that this was written for like the rough draft and what I need to change for the second draft is that like even one of the characters is like at a different place in the timeline than like this actually happens now, and like me figuring it out. Realistically, I had this character in like the first like 4 chapters of her perspective seeing something that happens at the end of one of the other perspectives. So like at the end of the first book, and like that doesn't make any sense. And so I so clearly do not write with the plot. I am very much a pantser, and it did very well for me, but that just means that I'm going to have to rewrite a significant portion of this just because I did things like that. And then I have like smaller fixes and stuff. That one of these scenes was set in winter, but that doesn't really fit anymore with like how I want my timeline to fall. And then I just have a note that like pages 11, 12, and 13 need to be rewritten. And I'm like, cool. Great. And I just have more general questions like that, like why is one of these characters not here? Like how old is one of these characters? Why is the king dead? That's an important one for me to figure out eventually. And like those are all questions that I need to answer in order to make this opening chapter really good. And then I have overarching notes that are like make this character's personality arc more consistent. And I'm like, cool. Cool. Great. It's just really funny because I know that like these notes had to be made before I like could start editing because I needed to get a concept of the big picture things that needed to be changed. But it's just funny looking at this now being like, wow, I wish I had like plotted originally, but the original plot was so trash when I originally tried to plot, even though that like did not work because I like wrote something out and then I started typing and like on the second sentence it was already going in a completely different direction. And thankfully for like this perspective, because this is the first perspective that I reread and like made notes on, I left myself like nice notes. I was like, the scene with these 2 characters is like heartwarming and has great banter. And I'm like, cool. That does not help me in editing this, but that's like nice to read, to like remind myself that like I did something that was like pretty decent on the first like shot or 2. But then again, like one of my favorite things is you can't build a sandcastle without first putting all the sand in the box. And so I understand that my rough draft was putting all of the sand in the box, and now I get to build sandcastles. But it's just that like having 19 pages of notes is daunting and stressful. And today is only April 1st, and I started on March 14th. It took me 2 weeks, and I'm giving myself 6 weeks to do all 3 perspectives, but it took me 2 weeks to edit, revise, rewrite, rework, whatever you want to call it, the shortest of the 3 perspectives. So when I started, the entire manuscript was like 190 pages. The shortest perspective was 33 pages. When I was done, it went up to about 40, but that took me 2 weeks. That means that I still have roughly 150 more pages to get through. And like these ones need more work than that. I guess I need to go fill out the Camp NaNoWriMo website for today, April 1st, but it's just crazy how much work I have to do, and I might be getting a job. I'm interviewing on Friday. If I get a job, then I'm going to have theoretically even less time to work on this. But then again, I think I might be in a better situation if I have a job, because then I'll be dealing with Parkinson's law, which is, I've talked about a lot. I'm very fascinated by it, but it's the law that what you have to do fills the amount of time that you have to do it. And because I would be under more of a time constraint with that, I would procrastinate less and theoretically would be more productive. I don't know. There's a lot going on. It's only April 1st and I'm already kind of panicking, so this is going to be an interesting month. So I worked on edits on April 1st for about 45 minutes, and I think I got like 105 words added. And then on April 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, I didn't do any work in my project DE. I also didn't do any creative work in general. I was trying to figure out some logistical stuff with my life because I technically have to move within this time of shutdown. I'm currently in another state. I don't know how I'm going to get back to that state, but I need to figure that out. I also don't know where I'm going, so I have not toured any apartment complexes, and so I need to somehow get my stuff out of that place and into another place in less than 6 weeks, and I don't know any of the logistics for it. So I think I was kind of freaking out about that. I'm also trying to figure out my job situation, and that's not getting any clarity right now. And so it's kind of interesting to have this time that I could be spending on my book and not spending time on my book. But then like today, which is April 5th, I did do about 25 minutes of editing. Just like very simple, very easy. I think I did like about a page, just like ease myself back into it, but I really wasn't feeling it. And I've just been like really like lethargic the past few days, which is not good when it's the first like week of Camp NaNoWriMo, when my goal was to like finish big picture editing this draft. Because of all that, I've already finished like 33 or 40 pages of the first perspective. It started at 33 and then ended at 40 pages. And I'm like 6 pages into the current perspective that I'm on. Okay, so there were originally 190 pages. If I've already edited and I added to it, but 33 pages of the first draft and 6 pages into the current draft that I'm on, that leaves me with like 150 pages. And if I have 25 more days, I think that means that I would have to do 6 pages a day. If I wasn't adding a bunch of words, I would have to do 6 existing pages a day to get through it all, which could mean deleting large portions and adding large portions. And so I think I was also just a little intimidated by the prospect. And then of course being intimidated by the prospect gives me less time to finish this. And so now this video, it's Sunday night on April 5th. I worked for 25 minutes today just to ease myself back into it, but now looking forward, I need to do like 6 pages a day. So at some point within the next week, I want to just try to like sit down and work for 6 hours and do like a 6-hour write-a-thon. I've seen a bunch of write-a-thons here on YouTube, but most are like 12 or 24 hours. I do not think I am built to do either of those, but I feel like I could do like 6 hours if it was like interspersed with like unloading the dishwasher and like doing laundry, and would make me feel productive without actually being editing. But productive breaks where my brain could be off, but my body would still be doing things, and by my brain being off, I would still be thinking about my edits. So that's my attack plan for the upcoming week, is to do like 6 pages a day. Hopefully, I'm gonna try and get ahead of that and do like, that's so many pages a day. Oh, wow. Anyways, I basically have not done a ton of work in these first 5 days of Camp Nano. I'm hoping that I change that, and I'm sure that I will. Again, just trying to remember that I need to take this a little bit at a time, because progress is progress. And today I remembered like the joke from like middle school or something, joke or riddle that says, how do you eat a whale? And the answer is 1 bite at a time. And that's kind of how I need to big picture edit, is just like 1 scene at a time, 1 sentence at a time, just moving forward. Progress is progress. All right, that's it for me today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Sarah Labrat. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like down below. I post videos twice a week, typically on Mondays and Thursdays. So subscribe for more content like this, and I will see you guys next time with another video. Bye.